All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And as we are on the cusp of a brand new NFL season, want to take this time out to talk about all things in the AFC South. Now, the AFC South has been won by the Houston Texans in the last 2 years. And if history holds, the division winner is going to be the only team that gets to the postseason from this division due to the fact that the last 4 years have seen the AFC South be a one bid division. But nonetheless, speaking of those Houston Texans, in a short period of time, they have taken control of the AFC South. After winning just 3 games in 2022, the Texans hired themselves a new head coach in DeMeco Ryans, while they also drafted their new franchise quarterback in CJ Stroud. And the results have been there for Houston, as, like I said before, they've won this division in each of the last 2 years. And after being so close, okay, to knocking off the Kansas City Chiefs last January in the divisional round, are these young Texans ready to take that next step? CJ Stroud, he had some hiccups last year in the second year in the NFL. Okay, and you just have to wonder if he's ready to put it behind him. And of course, the mysterious shoulder injury that was talked about over the off season. So let's see if everything's going to come together for him this year. The kid, what's going on, man? Did I catch my your comment on the NFC East? No, I did not. My apologies for that. I will definitely go back and review that, because I definitely want to hear what you've got to say about the NFC East. And just changing the subject very quickly here. Two big matchups in the NFC East this weekend. Of course, Cowboys, Eagles Thursday night, and then, of course, Giants, Commanders on Sunday. And then, of course, in the case of the Giants, their first 2 games are opponents against the NFC East. So you really don't want to fall behind the 8 ball in that matter. Nonetheless, here with the AFC South and the Texans, got CJ Stroud in place at quarterback. The talent around him on offense. Can Joe Mixon stay healthy? And there's a possibility that the Texans might not even have the services of running back Joe Mixon this season. So now Houston going out there and signing veteran running back Nick Chubb looks very smart because, Chubb had that bad knee injury a couple of years ago with the Cleveland Browns, okay? But to me, I still believe that it falls in that category of low risk, high reward potential if Nick Chubb is indeed healthy. Will Houston be able to keep their pass catchers healthy with the likes of Nico Collins and Tank Dell? That's going to be big. And then you've got a veteran tight end like Dalton Schultz who knows how to move those chains. Another big question for me on offense for Houston, they've got to protect CJ Stroud. He's been sacked 90 times so far in his NFL career. He's only played in the NFL 2 years, so that's about 45 times per season. That ain't going to get it done. Okay. Defensively, I think that the Texans are going to be lights out because they really embody what their head coach, DeMeco Ryans, does. First of all, as a player and then as a D coordinator and now as a head coach, his defenses know how to get after people and they never stop coming. They are relentless. You look at Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson at the defensive ends, linebackers like Henry To'oTo'o and Christian Harris, the Alabama connection right there. And then, of course, on the back end with Pro Bowl cornerback Derek Stingley. So I do believe that the Texans are once again going to be in the mix to win this division. I think the biggest thing for Houston to do, they have to go out there and they got to take care of their business in the games that they're supposed to win. Why? Because, as a first place team, you're going to have to deal with the Kansas Cities, the Baltimores, the Buffaloes on your schedule. And winning the games that you're supposed to take care of your business in, okay, allow those wins to pile up because that could be the difference in you being a 4 seed as the last division winner in the AFC South, or possibly a 1 or 2 seed. So we got to see how this thing works out for the Texans this season. Another team that clearly is looking to improve, you got the Tennessee Titans. They stumbled through a 3-14 campaign last year. They had the first overall pick, okay, and they used it on quarterback Cam Ward. And what we have heard so far are good things about Cam Ward, and the Titans, excuse me, feel as if Cam Ward is going to be their franchise guy for years to come. And it looks like they have finally figured it out at the most important position on the football field, which is quarterback. And of course, you need that stability. You look at Titans quarterbacks last year. They threw 22 touchdowns, 22 interceptions. That ain't going to get it done. Tony Pollard, will he continue to be that bell cow back for Tennessee? I think he will, because first and foremost, I think Cam Ward, without even having played a game in the NFL yet in the regular season, is an upgrade to what the Titans had at quarterback last year. Will Levis, I know people tried to hype him up coming out of college. I was never a believer. I know he's out this year with the shoulder injury, but honestly, I've seen enough of Will Levis to know that he simply can't play, and how much of his bad decision making really hindered the Titans last year. I think that changes this time around. You have yourself a veteran wide receiver like Calvin Ridley. I'm sure he's happy to be back. And then, of course, this Titans defense, which is led by their all-pro defensive tackle, Jeffrey Simmons. I think this Titans team is going to be improved, and I think as the season progresses, they're going to be better. And I expect a solid rookie campaign from Cam Ward. You're saying hopefully Derrick Henry and the Titans win the AFC South. Well, D. Henry, once the Mike Vrabel era was over in Nashville, the Titans organization decided to part with Henry. It's kind of like a mutual thing almost. But nonetheless, D. Henry is doing his thing for the Ravens. And D. Henry is a guy who, if healthy, is really going to move up that all-time rushing yardage chart for the upcoming season. So, I expect big things from him as long as he's healthy for the Ravens. But nonetheless, with these Titans, I do think Brian Callahan and company will be an improved team this year. Some teams that I have one team that I have my doubts on, that's the Indianapolis Colts, because in their 2 years under head coach Shane Steichen, they're 17-17. They had one 8-9 season, one 9-8 season. Each of the last 2 years, the Colts have been the runner-up to the Texans in the AFC South. But you have to wonder if things are going to be different here for Indy in 2025. For me, the biggest issue for the Colts has been the problems at quarterback. Okay, we saw the Colts use a top 5 pick a couple of years ago on Anthony Richardson at quarterback. So far, it has not worked out. This offseason, we saw Indianapolis sign veteran quarterback Daniel Jones as a guy who was expected to come in and compete with Richardson. And not only did he compete with Richardson during training camp, he beat him out. Okay. So it's one of those for me. The Colts have given their offense to D. Jones. And I said this when the decision was made about a week or so ago. I'm not sold on this, because if we have seen Daniel Jones so far during his NFL career, there's really nothing to write home about as far as his ability to play quarterback in the National Football League. Daniel Jones has had accuracy issues throughout his NFL career. Daniel Jones has had issues reading opposing defenses throughout his NFL career, and I don't think it gets fixed overnight. I think, honestly, it's going to be a back and forth this season between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson at the quarterback position. And like the old saying goes, when you have 2 or 3 quarterbacks, you really don't have any. You're you're saying you're glad Daniel Jones is away from the Giants. You and a lot of other people. I think the folks in the New York, New Jersey area, I think they've had their fill and then some, if you will, with Daniel Jones at the quarterback position. And I think the folks in Indianapolis are about to find that out the hard way. And it's a shame because the Colts have talent at the other skill positions. You look at Jonathan Taylor. When healthy, this is a guy who could easily get you 12 or 1,300 yards on the ground. You look at the likes of Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce at the wide receiver position. And then the Colts, they drafted Tyler Warren, the all-world tight end out of Penn State. Right guy, wrong team. I think Tyler Warren has a potential to have a phenomenal NFL career. I don't think it's going to happen right away with Indianapolis just because they don't have the quarterbacks, plural, to go out there and get him the football. Indianapolis lost two of their starting offensive linemen in free agency to the Minnesota Vikings. Longtime center Ryan Kelly as well as guard Will Fries. You still got all-pro guard Quentin Nelson, who is rapidly working towards a Hall of Fame career of his own. But nonetheless, it comes down to the quarterback position. Defensively, we saw Indianapolis bring in former Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo to take over this unit. Last year, the Colts only had 36 sacks, and that was 26th in the NFL. That has got to improve. You've got yourself one of the best linebackers, in my opinion, in this division in Zaire Franklin. And then I like the back end with Pro Bowl cornerback Kenny Moore. But again, I think the quarterback woes will really limit any positivity for the Colts this season. And finally, there's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, and they had a couple of 9-8 seasons, and things got away from them last year as they limped to a 4-13 finish. It resulted in Doug Peterson being let go as their head coach. They brought in former Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive assistant Liam Cohen, and now he's going to another part of Florida to try to fix Trevor Lawrence. And this is going to be the third different head coach that Trevor Lawrence has played for. And he's only been in the National Football League since 2021. So you've got to keep Lawrence healthy first and foremost because he was injured for a chunk of last year. Okay, but even when he was healthy, he looked and played like a quarterback who regressed. And Jacksonville cannot afford to see more of that this season, especially with all that they have invested in Trevor Lawrence financially. Now, we saw Jacksonville use a first-round pick, and they traded up actually to get Travis Hunter. And anybody who saw Travis Hunter play at Colorado, collegiately, knew that this kid was special. It's just a matter of what's he going to play more. Is he going to play wide receiver more? Is he going to play defensive back more? I think more than likely his career in the NFL is going to be as a wide receiver, and I'm sure they're going to have packages for him on that side of the football. But nonetheless, what type of impact can Travis Hunter have for this team? I think a good one. Okay, you got a solid wide receiver in Brian Thomas, who's going to look to build off of his strong rookie season where he had nearly 1,300 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns. Jacksonville has to improve defensively if they're going to keep up. They were 31st in the NFL in yards allowed last year, 28th in points per game. You've got Trayvon Walker, who is improving as a defensive end. We know about Josh Hines-Allen and his ability to get after the quarterback, and then also an improving outside linebacker in Devin Lloyd. I really want to see what Jacksonville looks like this Sunday against Carolina. I know Carolina is not a world beater, but nonetheless, when you think about where Jacksonville was last year and you've got yourself a new head coach, can the Liam Cohen era get off to a strong start? But at the end of the day, this is going to be the Texans' division to lose. Like I said before, Tennessee will be an improved team. Too many issues for me with the Colts at the quarterback position. And Jacksonville, they're still trying to figure it out. So as long as the Texans come ready to play, they're going to win the AFC South once again, and they're going to get to the postseason. And I think the trend continues as far as the AFC South being a one-bid division for the AFC playoffs. That's just the way that I see things going down. But nonetheless, fine folks, I want to take this time out as always to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, If you like what you heard and saw, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, one more installment heading up to the start of the NFL season. You can check out this channel tomorrow as I will give you my postseason and Super Bowl projections for the coming NFL campaign. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check us out at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back in return. And the same goes for Instagram, but you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you are on Facebook, you can check us out at the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And before I go, the kid, as always, it was good to hear and see what you had to chime in on. And like I said, I will definitely go back and check what you had to say about the NFC East. But until next time, fine folks, I'm signing off. I'm saying thanks once again for checking us out. Have a good night and be well, everybody.